The province has fired back. Premier Doug Ford's office is blasting Ottawa's mayor and our medical officer of health for expressing this opposition to the lockdown. In a series of talking points obtained by CTV, the Premier's office denounces Watson and Dr. Etches for their comments. It says, quote, "It is reckless and irresponsible for Ottawa's mayor and medical officer to denounce the province-wide shutdown. Some politicians and pundits may be okay with body bags piling up outside their front doorsteps, but we are not." Joining me right now to chat about this, I've got Dr. Raywat Deonandan, an epidemiologist at the University of Ottawa. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Thank you for piling into that intense discussion right now. Not looking forward to it.
Yeah, so, I mean, this has become very political, and I don't want to wade into the politics with you, but I do want to get into the public health. What do you think? Does the province have it right here, putting us in a 28-day lockdown? Does Vera Etches have a better approach? Maybe going for a shorter lockdown? What do you think?
For where I sit, it comes down to what the goal is. It's unclear what the goal actually is. So is the goal to give us a bit of a breather to allow the hospitals and ICUs across the province to get some space back? Or is the goal to get us to a position where we can deploy those extraordinary testing tools to ride out the situation until the vaccine does its job? If it's the latter, then the wider broad brush applies and the province is right. If it's the latter, if it's the former rather, that we're just trying to buy some breathing space, then it makes sense to do a more regional approach. So they both can be right. How's that for a wishy-washy answer? Depending upon what the actual goal is.
Are you sure you don't want to go into politics?
Oh, I'm so sure.
That was good. That was some good little spin there. What do you think would be the best way to proceed in Ottawa right now, based on what we're seeing, including the wastewater levels, which have started to tick up?
Right. So the reproduction number is above 1 right now, and the wastewater analysis shows an upward trajectory, which is concerning, right? So it means we are technically in exponential growth. So this could turn on a dime any minute.
But is it a blip? Because sometimes, and I'm not suggesting that it is or it isn't, but I'm just wondering, because when you look on 613covid.ca, you can see with the wastewater analysis and surveillance that sometimes it goes up and then it falls down, and it doesn't necessarily go up into a heavy peak.
That's right. So the last few days it's been trending upward, though you're right, it may stop trending upward at any given time and plateau. However, we're into the silly season. We're into the holidays when people are socializing more, and when we probably have some shoppers coming in from Quebec, increasing our caseload substantially. So with those two things in mind, I suspect that we're going to have exponential growth for some time. Having said that, what I would probably like to see in Ottawa, given the uncertainness of what the goal actually is at the 2-week point, reassess. See what the indicators are, and if we are resembling the North more than the South, then lump us back in the North. Then there's nothing prevents us from, assessing the data in real time.
So go 2 weeks, see where we are. If we're still fairly stable and things aren't going high, you think what? We can reopen back up? We can be lumped in with the North? What do you think we need to do?
Well, then we consider what the options are. If the options include opening up or lumping the North, and so be it. I anticipate we're going to be in some deep doo-doo in a couple of weeks anyway, given the nature of the disease across the Northern Hemisphere. So we probably should, buckle down for a rough ride regardless. But yeah, nothing prevents us from assessing data in real time, committing ourselves to long-term struggle in absence of data is not, an evidence-based way to go. Having said that, I do suspect that the province in general is going to be in lockdown or some kind of restriction for a few weeks.
So they're shutting down restaurants, they're shutting down gyms, they're shutting down movie theaters, hair salons, nail salons, and they're saying we've got to get this under control. And yet there are certain places that are still going to be open, like warehouses. What do you think about that?
Yeah. This is interesting, isn't it? I mean, if it's just based on the public health, of course, you close everything. But I'm sympathetic towards the province. They have to make these decisions, weighing the concerns of public health against the concerns of keeping the economy up and running and having a flow of goods into the cities. And if that requires some things to stay open, so be it. It's not ideal, but there may be a reason for it. And those reasons are having to keep certain parts of the machine running.
Right, but I'm just wondering how much you think those parts are contributing to the spread of COVID-19 in our society, given the fact that in a warehouse, you're inside, you're working fairly close together, and that we know that they're working at a breakneck pace. They're trying to get all these packages out. I'm thinking about the Amazon warehouses, for example, the ones that are in the Greater Toronto area that include some of these crazy hotspots like Mississauga and Brampton.
Right. No, exactly. So I'm hoping that they include in these areas additional resources to make these warehouses more safe. So give them better quality masks. Keep the windows open. I mean, the CDC recently admitted that aerosol transmission is probably the major way it's spreading now. If that's the case, we really have to invest heavily in ventilation. So if the warehouses are going to stay open, all of our focus should be on keeping them as safe as possible.
What did you think of the Premier's comments regarding going to the cottage? He said, if you're going to the cottage, that's fine, but stock up before, don't stop anywhere, and hunker down.
I think he's taking the harm reduction approach. I prefer it if nobody went to the cottage, and the reason for that is if you get sick up in cottage country, you're going to overload the local healthcare system, which is not equipped to deal with a large number of people with respiratory ailments. Right? So, but if people are going to do it, then yeah, go there and stay. But I prefer if you hadn't done that in the first place.
Yeah, the question is, do people stop for gas? Do they stop to go to the Tim Hortons? Do they stop to go in and get a snack for the kids because they're in the back seat and they're whining? Do they stop and have to go into the local hardware store or something like that before Christmas, before the shutdown?
Yeah, of course they will. So this is not...
Of course they will.
There's nothing good about any of this. And so I don't know what the appropriate response is, considering that people have shown that we cannot be relied upon to act in the best personal cognizance. Therefore, maybe the harm reduction approach is the best approach now. I'm not sure anymore. I wish I had answers, but I'm so confused now by the disconnection between what we should do and what people are willing to do that I'm not sure what the appropriate guidance is anymore.
They seem very fixated on travel. They've expressed a large concern about travel in Ottawa in particular from people potentially crossing into Ottawa from Quebec or from other parts of Ontario. And now they're talking about people potentially staying in hotels. Do you think that we need to do more to monitor the movement of people?
Yes. So if you look around the world about the places that have done really well with this disease, three things pop up. One is that they acted hard and early. We all hear about that all the time. Two is they got really good at case detection through testing and contact tracing. And three, they patrolled their borders exceedingly well. So they kept infection from coming into the country and sealed it out. That means patrolling the borders, rapid testing, imposed quarantines, testing in hotels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We should have been doing this a while ago. So I'm glad that we got that focus now.
All right, Raywat Deonandan, we really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a safe and happy holiday. It is 2:40.